Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing Get Good Volume 3, or Episode 3, and today we're going to start with an amendment, real quick. The previous Get Good episode, I had talked about selling decals and emblems, and I said that you could not sell non-historical emblems, and it's come to my attention that that is not explicitly true. Some of these you can't sell, right, as you can see, and then the historical ones you can sell, but there are some that you can sell some of these things. So go through and check even the ones that are non-historical. There's no rhyme or reason that I can tell. For some of these you can sell and some of them you can't, but some of the non-historical ones can be sold, and you can make bank selling those things too. So make sure to clear out the depot properly, and that's my amendment for the last one. Okay, so then that's okay. So for beginners, I guess this is the beginner tip. The first thing is the equipment selection. Many of you, if you're starting up in the game and you've got lower tiers, you're tier 3, 4, 5, whatever, you're wondering what equipment should I be putting on my tanks. First things first, do not, for the love of God, please do not use a camo net on anything ever. Like, just don't do it. It's just complete garbage in almost every situation. It sounds great. The way mechanics are like designed in this game, it doesn't work nearly as well as you would think that it would. So just don't use that ever. And for the most part, what you should have on almost every tank that can mount it is a rammer and a vertical stabilizer if it can mount that. A lot of the lower tier tanks can't. So in that case, you'd probably want an improved rotation mechanism instead. And then from there, it's probably going to be optics almost every time. Because unless your crew's very good and then you've got food and da-da-da-da-da, like the T29, like you can see my crew is okay. The point is, lower tier stuff, and especially if you're new, you're not going to have a great crew. You're not going to be running food and all these things, so vision is very important. You can't shoot what you can't see, and so you need optics to spot the things. So I would say, generally speaking, it's going to be optics, rammer, and then a V-stab for almost most things. And then if you can't run a vertical stabilizer, it's improved rotation mechanism. Also, the next little tidbit here, we're going to give it a few at once here, is make your minimap bigger. So let me go ahead and just pull up a screenshot. This is a screenshot of some douchebag trying to push me out of cover from the other day, but it doesn't matter. The point is, just a screenshot of something from the other day where I could just show you, this is how big my minimap is, and you press the plus button. The default to make it bigger and smaller is the plus and minus button on your keyboard. Make the minimap, I make it as big as it goes, and then -1, right? So just go plus, 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 plus until it gets as big as it goes. Make it -1 by, make it a little bit smaller by 1, because this is important. You don't want this little thing to be a postage stamp in the side of the map, or in the side of your screen, because this is like, you want to keep track of what the team is doing, what the enemy team is doing, and in this case we're losing, but the point is, you want this thing to be big and you want to keep your eyes on it often. So make the minimap substantially larger. Let's see here. And let's see here, okay. And I think that's it for beginners. Intermediate. The intermediate tip is to modify your deployment based on the team list. Okay, and that sounds pretty basic, but for example, it's very easy for people to get into the habit of, I'm in this tank, so I'm going to go to this place because this is where that tank always goes. And what I'm trying to say is that's not always the case, or it shouldn't always be the case. And here's a perfect example that I cooked up out of my head. They're not always going to be this clear cut, but this is just one thing to get you thinking about this situation. So you're on the south spawn of Serene Coast, and you're in a Kranvagns Action 10, right? The tier 10 British medium tank. It's a good tank, solid. You have 2 IS-7s and an IS-4 on your team for heavies. You see the enemy team has 2 Kranvagns and a Super Conqueror. Now, typically, you'd probably take your Kranvagns Action X up to this part of the map and try to work on this ridgeline. But what I'm trying to say here is that with this enemy lineup and these 2 Krans and a Super Conch, you're going to get eaten alive if you go up here in a Kranvagns Action X. So you should absolutely not do that. I'm sorry, maybe it's Centurion Action X. The tier 10, sorry, Centurion Action X. You should not be doing this. So this is what I'm saying. Like, normally in an air quote normal situation, you would go up here in your Centurion Action X and you would do just fine. But against those tanks, you're going to get eaten. So what I would say instead is make it so that you are going to, if they go up here, they have to work to shoot you, right? So like what I might do is either go here or go here, right? Knock down some of these bushes and sit here, because then the only way that they get good shots on you is if they come down off the hill, and then you can see their hulls. They can't be hull down anymore, and you've got them in a kill box from these various different positions. And this is kind of tipping into another, you know, the positions of you know, getting ready to receive a push and things like that. But basically, this one is, don't just run out there in the same spot that you always go to in every tank, because not every matchup is going to allow for that to happen. You know, if you go up here in your Centurion AX in this matchup, you will die, and then you'll wonder what happened, and this is what happened. So start thinking about that. Keep an eye on your teammates. You know, what tanks you guys have on the team list, what tanks the enemy has on their team list, and try to figure out, like, all right, if you were a Kranvagn, obviously you're going to go to C1. Ditto for a, so like, if you want to go to C1, you're probably going to see 2 Kranvagns. Is that what you want to see when you go up there? You know, think about that before you decide where to take your tank. Okay, so that's modifying your deployment. All right, the last one is for advanced folks, and it's using your HP, your hit points, as a resource. You know, trade as late as possible. Right, trade away your hit points as late as possible, and always make sure, or try to make sure, to do so favorably. So what this means basically is, you know, if there's a situation where like let's say you're in one of these, let's say you're in a super conk and the enemy's in a super conk, in the same situation, up here on this hill, and you're in this brawl and you're back and forth and you're shooting and they're shooting and everybody's doing well and fine. Like, what if you shoot and then they're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna wait for you to poke up again. Don't poke up again. Wait for him to go find something else to do. Wait for him to get bored or get shot by Artie or shoot at somebody else or something. Because if you poke up when that guy's sitting there waiting for you to poke up, he's going to probably get a shot in on you. And so that's going to be for free, and you're going to lose hit points. So that's trading, and it's probably not going to be trading favorably, because he's probably going to shoot you and pull back, and you won't shoot him, right? So trade favorably. And then if you've spent the first 3 minutes of every game losing your hit points, even if you've traded 1 for 1, let's say you're in a super conk, you're shooting an enemy super conk, and you're just sitting there shooting each other in the face, and you managed to win the fight. So you've killed him, and you got 2,000 damage, and you've lost almost all your hit points. So you only have like 300 left. Your game is basically over. You know, the artillery is going to click on you, and you're going to die, or you definitely can't be aggressive. You can't take a shot. You can't push a flank in the late game and carry the game because you've wasted all your hit points early on. So try what you can. Try to make sure that you're trading your hit points as a resource. Don't spend them too early. Don't spend them without a really good reason. Use your teammates as a meat shield, because that's what they're for, to be honest, in random games. You know, if the enemy, you know, if the enemy super conqueror is looking up here at you, then all of a sudden he shoots one of your friends. Well, great, maybe he bounces, maybe he doesn't. Then you poke up here and you shoot him and make him pay, right? That would be then you didn't take any damage, and you probably put in at least 1, hopefully maybe 2, because, you know. So think about that when you're playing the game. Don't get into a position early on in the game that costs you 1,000 hit points to get into, because you've just spent 1,000 hit points really early in the game, you know. So try to trade your hit points away late as possible, especially in an auto loader. If you're in an auto loader, it's critical that you stay as healthy as possible, because in the late game then you have the ability to trade your entire clip sometimes for 1 shot of damage. If you have the hit points to take 1 shot of damage, you become substantially more of a problem. And the last one here, this is a bit of a bonus. I'm going to tell this to everybody because I think Wargaming did this on accident. This is a tip for everybody. So if you've been playing the game and you've got some battle pass tokens, if you have just purchased some of these tanks this season, then this does not apply to you, because you can only buy each of these tanks once per season. However, if you're like me and you've had these 3 tanks for some time now, you know, at the beginning of the season, the game doesn't recognize that you've purchased these. So what you can do is, if you have all the tanks and you don't care, or maybe you don't care to have either one of these 2, the Kunzi or the K91, and instead you'd rather have some credits. Notice how you can get a credit booster or bonds, but you can't actually get credits straight up. And I think that Wargaming has probably overlooked this. So what you can do is you can sell the AE Phase 1 in your garage and then buy it for tokens, and that'll get you 3.5 million credits. You might have to take off some equipment and demount some stuff and whatever, it doesn't matter, but like that's 3.5 million. Then you can do the same thing for the Char. That's 3.5 million. You can do the same thing for the 777. That's 3.5 million. So if you have, let's say you have no interest in a Kunzi and no interest in a K91, and you've already had these 3 tanks from previous Battle Pass seasons, sell them all, buy them back, and that gets you, what is that, 10.5 million credits, and you'll probably have some tokens left over. So that's a big deal. Go ahead and do that. It's yeah, free credits for just playing the game and getting your Battle Pass tokens. So there's an extra tip that's I think probably applicable to everybody who plays the game, because you'll probably all have Battle Pass tokens. So alrighty, that is going to do it for me, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. All right, thanks. Bye.